Wishing you a happy new year. That's right, 2025. It's here. Happy new year. Juju Watkins, LA, I love LA, will be playing for the LA Sparks. It's going to be a new year, WNBA draft. We're going to break it down. We're going to cover it for you. But this is a story that I'm not going to let go, and I'm going to continue it forward. As I've already said, Juju Watkins, outstanding basketball player. In my opinion, and again, welcome to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast, where it's my opinion, but if it turns to truth, I'm giving you the facts long before it happens. And with Juju Watkins, who is LA, and also just starting out, Juju Watkins, her grandfather, Theodore Watkins, and the history. And this is why it's important to understand the history of the WNBA and what Juju Watkins means to LA. Her grandfather, social justice, was a community activist working to have jobs after the Watts riot, which was a tremendous movement in LA. But you also look at the Watkins family and you look at Robert, you look at Sari Watkins and what they've done, and that being the grandfather of Juju Watkins. And you're talking about the city of Los Angeles. And why do I bring this up? And you have Magic Johnson and the city of Los Angeles go hand in hand, folks. And Juju Watkins and the city of Los Angeles go hand in hand, meaning that there's a relationship, there's a bond that happens there. If you look at Juju today, the Watkins family and the LeBron James family, there's a relationship there. And, it's something that now the WNBA, where I've kind of put it on the table, and we'll follow it throughout the year. 2025 is going to be a great year. Money Mike says, I like Nike stock. It's trading 75. I think it's going to pretty much go over 100 throughout 2025. But nevertheless, Juju Watkins, I believe, will play for the LA Sparks. And I'm going to kind of walk you through why that's important and why it was important for Caitlin Clark to play for the Indiana Fever. Now, because the success and the blueprint of Caitlin being in Indiana has shown itself well. The LA Sparks being in Los Angeles really is going to show well, and it's going to be able to do just what's happening there. And there's some jockeying around. A lot of people thought it was going to be a couple years away. I don't think so. I think what you got is you got the LA Sparks now are in a different position selection of Juju Watkins. And why, Money Mike, are you saying it? The LA Sparks could take Juju Watkins with the number 2 pick in the draft. That's right. LA Sparks can take Juju Watkins with the number 1 pick in the draft, or excuse me, number 2 pick in the draft this year. And basically, what that can turn into, folks, that could turn into a supplemental draft pick. And, you're looking at this and you look at Magic Johnson and you look at what's going on. And Magic Johnson, how he entered the league, and you got Magic and Bird and Kathy Engelbert. Well, you got to go a step further than that. That's why I'm going through this Jerry Bust model and what kind of happened. As Magic came in the league, coming in there winning for the actual LA Lakers and coming in winning the NBA championship as a rookie. You got to understand Red Auerbach was a pretty smart man. And what Red did was when Larry Bird was a junior, he drafted Larry Bird, Red Auerbach, with the Boston Celtics, right? And then he went on and fleeced the Warriors. But nevertheless, and got Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, and he built the best front line in basketball. But here's the deal. He drafted Larry when Larry was a junior. Okay, the LA Sparks can draft Juju Watkins this year at the number 2 pick. Okay, and that gives rights to the LA Sparks. Now, the WNBA, there isn't really a rule, but the expansion draft and where the rules work and how the law works, I'll tell you, folks, this is going to get interesting because Larry Bird went ahead and played again, right? Let's take a look at this. If the Sparks draft Juju Watkins this year, and Juju's nothing happens, and Juju goes and plays another year, I mean, you got the rights. They just did it and put it in a supplemental. Well, they have those rights and retainment that Juju Watkins can play for the LA Sparks. And the reason that's important is you got to understand something here that with Gottlieb, right? And you got Gottlieb sitting there, Juju Watkins, and Gottlieb's a great basketball coach. All right, here's the deal. I mean, if you don't know, Gottlieb was an assistant with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, she knows basketball, right? And you get the Lynn Roberts and Gottlieb. I mean, I'm not going to say two peas in the pod, but pretty close, right? These two have battled out against each other. I mean, I'll take you back because, like I said, Lynn Roberts, Chico State, UOP, Utah, now the Sparks, right? Getting it done at every level. But, her and Gottlieb battled out. Gottlieb used to be at Santa Barbara, right? So, and then Gottlieb kind of progressed on up and made it over to Cal, right? And so at the end of the day, and now she's at SC, and now the orchestration has to begin because Juju belongs in LA. All right, and you want to make the WNBA and Nike and the partners and Amazon and AT&T, everybody that's on deck. Juju Watkins belongs in LA. Juju Watkins will be in LA. And I'm going to take you further because the supplemental draft, folks, it's a very interesting thing at how it works. But you got to look at who owns the Sparks, right? Okay, so you got Michael Walker. Mark Walter is the leader of the group, Dodgers, right? No doubt. They just won the World Series. It's about championship. Magic, okay? Magic's the owner of the Sparks, right? So at the end of the day, Magic is not only an owner of the Sparks or whoever owns the Spark, and you look at the group there of the ownership group, but that's not the story. The story is you also got LeBron James. Who got LeBron James to LA? Magic Johnson, right? There's no doubt, no confusion with that at all. And be going beyond when you look at the family, but you look at Magic and Juju, this relationship has begun a long time ago, and it's actually moving forward. But the way the supplemental draft works, folks, and this is why it's important is that you have a retainment of rights. You don't need the player. If the LA Sparks say we don't need the player this year, obviously, but and obviously there's enough law in California. You're not going to get any better law than you're going to get in California anywhere in the United States. And I guess you'd have to say Washington, Philly. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, if you're in that corridor up there, but when you look at law, you've got USC Law School, you got Stanford Law School, okay, you got UCLA, which is sitting. These guys are at the top of the leadership of the board when you collected and put them together, and you bring all the law together as one: Stanford, USC, UCLA, and Cal Berkeley, right? And you bring all that together, the extenuating circumstance for the supplemental of the draft, meaning that what type of extenuating circumstances does Juju Watkins have besides being the number one basketball player in the world, right? Well, I'm an owner, obviously, and unrivaled, so I'm not like a regular college student or the rule that's currently sitting in place that will be challenged, and they will do it. But the purpose of this, obviously, if Juju Watkins, if the LA Sparks select Juju Watkins and Magic Johnson, who's an owner, which he has no objection to the LA Sparks. I mean, it made the rivalry, right? And you've got Candace Parker is going to have some association. But the point I'm making, Caitlin, the blueprint of her being in Indiana, has served the WNBA very well. Exactly. The awards, everything that has happened for Caitlin is now has to turn to happen for Juju Watkins. And where's that's going to happen, right? It's going to happen in L.A. And I already told you, I truly believe that Paige Bucher should be in Connecticut, should be in Boston. That's where it belongs. You got big market players, and you got to move the players. There's this thing that you got to move it, or else it's going to stand still. And that's not going to happen. You got Angel Wilson. I think something's going on. Chicago, Angel Reese going to do it. It got to be done. Bluter did what she had to do, and there's built the champion. But Juju, this is L.A., folks. There's no doubt about it. When you find the comfortability of L.A., belongs in L.A., trainers in L.A., everybody's in L.A., and I'll tell you, that red back, folks. I'll tell you, if you look at the history and the supplemental draft, they did it for Larry Bird. and Magic and Dr. Jerry Buss. I'll tell you, Magic learned a whole lot from Dr. Jerry Buss. And, the thing with Magic, he always would say, as he came into the AT&T management kickoff practice, he said, we eat the same thing or drink the same coffee as everybody else. We just like sweet potato pie instead of scones, right? It was a great business quote, profound. But, Red Auerbach did a supplemental, and that's why I think L.A. Sparks might want to consider, if they haven't already, that Juju Watkins should be the number 2 pick in the draft, right? He did it with Larry Bird. It worked out just fine, and that's a part of the deal. But Lynn Roberts and Gottlieb, I'll tell you what, 2 peas in the pod. They know each other well. I mean, you're talking about from Cal, to Utah, but go a step back from that, from Gottlieb being at Santa Barbara, and you got Lynn Roberts sitting there at UOP. So they both know how great the player is. It's just going to be how they're going to make the move, and, ownership speaks. Magic's going to make anything happen. He's a Sparks owner. And it all comes back to the big dog, that's LeBron, and he's got a relationship with Juju. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast. I am sharing with you today the LA Sparks have an opportunity to take Juju Watkins this year, number 2 pick in the draft, and then you let the corner law figure it out, but I don't think that's going to be easy or that's going to be hard. I think what's going to happen, you're going to have LA Juju Watkins is going to go against Caitlin Clark. That's what I perceive. And I tell you, Juju Watkins' grandfather, Major. Okay, you got Robert and Sari. Wonderful job. Did it. Magic, big fella. Let's go. Candace Parker, you're doing what you got to do. Okay, Caitlin Brent, man, oh man. But the game is the game, and Caitlin's a great, great player. We haven't seen anything like it. But we also have Juju Watkins, and you haven't seen anything like this either. But here's the deal. When you get them both on the court at the same time, that's when you're going to get your answer. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast. I'm going to dig deeper. Supplemental draft, LA Sparks, number 2 pick. They take Juju Watkins this